Barrister Mbeseha, in a few words, what would your thoughts on this last topic about our cultural heritage being protected be?
Well, I think if Ambazina has lost anything under the influence of La République du Cameroon, it is our culture. It is being desecrated, it has been killed, it has been rubbed in mud, and everywhere. Not because these guys are not anxious to do it, but because the Yaoundé encourages them to do that. Once Yaoundé sought to and obtain the power to create and uncreate traditional rulers, to create and uncreate chiefdoms or fiefdoms, that was the end of our culture. We've seen most of them, some of them. Was it last week? We saw an, an order from the Minat creating some fiefdom or subdivision under a fiefdom recognized second class chiefdom somewhere in Momo. That was Tatanganji, who for every intended purposes comes from the northern zone. It comes from Bamenda, Bafuchu, is it Bafuchu somewhere? It comes from there. I know the tradition there. The tradition there is almost the same all over. But he would desecrate it to set his political agenda. So where are we heading to? Good enough. Ambassador, as we speak today, we're realizing that can we fix the thing wholesale? Maybe not. But we shall speak the spoils from where they are. We shall try to repair the loss, to fix the bridges that have been broken down. And so the tradition under Ambazonia will not be what it was. Under British administered Southern Cameroon, who had that, the British administrators never interfered with the tradition. They left the culture for the people to handle it. And that's why officially we had the House of Chiefs, where they can regulate those. If they needed an order of government, will be debated in the House of Chiefs, how to change some of those things. And above all, in Ambazonia then and even as of today, they created a court to deal with customs. They called it the customary court. The customary court had and still has perhaps the relation today. You can obtain a judgment in Agam, in the most remote part of Ambazonia, in a customary court. And will be enforceable even by the Supreme Court of Cameroon. And so we will speak the spoils where they are. And so that is what it is. I don't know whether you want me to digress straight into Capo Daniel or we want to do in a different segment.
All right, so you can actually still do that. We're going to ask you specially about that, but since you want to do that, please go ahead.
Well, you could ask me if you want to do something. I don't want it to be sure that we don't let it pass.
Oh, then you can do that, sir. You can go ahead.
Okay. So you see what Capo Daniel is saying about the death of Kemende. Capo Daniel was, and I think still was the second in command, a spokesperson for the ADF. And so, first, by all his activities, he's a criminal. No doubt about that. But there's something we call in law dying declarations. When you're lying on your bed and you're dying, the things that you say there are often the truth. Because you don't hope to come back, you want God to forgive you. And so what is coming out of Capo's mouth may sound very bad, but it is the truth. And that has been with the ADF throughout. I dislike Capo Daniel for what he does, but I like him. One thing, which even when he tells you I go to follow it, because he tells the truth of what was never known before. And that has been the wavelength of the ADF, the AGOF-C people. It did not start with Capo Daniel. It started with Avo Tanku. Avo Tanku was a spokesman for ADF. And there was a very spokesman who sat there using the ADF media to call Nkomo success, to call Mbeseha to abandon the fight and go to Nigeria. We never knew until he started confessing and producing the audio, the videos and the audios of what he did. He was a spokesman for the ADF, Tanku Avo. He did that. He's still alive. He was ADF. Fast forward to Capo Daniel. I say I like him because he tells the truth when he's when he's on the wall. Capo Daniel is the one who told, he was the one in Canada. Capo Daniel was in Canada. And since the Canada talks, nobody has ever told us anything about Canada. Capo Daniel is the one who told us that they went there and accepted the special status. But he's telling this story to buy his way back, because he was not alone there. Capo Daniel was in Canada, not for Canada, not just for ADF alone. Capo Daniel, remember, was Mr. Sisi Siku's ambassador to Asia for the government in prison. He was there together with what do you call that, their prime minister, what they call him. They were all there. Nobody has ever told us nothing that happened in Canada. Until Capo Daniel came and said, well, they got there and found out they could do nothing. It's accepted on a special, what they call it, upgraded special status. Why? Because nobody will tell us this, because he's now on his deathbed, political deathbed. He's dying politically. And most interestingly, up to this point, maybe I missed it, I've not heard anybody, the new spokesperson or even Joe Ayaba, refute those stories of the killing of Kemonde, of they are going to ask for special status, of asking for us to desert and go to the DDR. Capo Daniel said it. Anku said it. Joe Ayaba has never denied it, any of these allegations. So that's why I say I give him credit for telling us what we would not have known. Did they kill him? Of course. That's a dying declaration. I just explained why they killed him. So, as I said 2 days ago, does anybody in Abazonia still believe in this thing called ADF in general, and Cho Ayaba in particular, and the affiliate, whoever affiliates himself to the ADF? Does anybody still believe in them? You must believe in them if only you are an agent of Yaoundé, because they are doing the work of Yaoundé. Go to Capo Daniel and he will tell you what happened to Madame Mondi. Go to Capo Daniel and he will tell you why, I just said it, why they were so opposed to the Swiss-led initiative. He says, according to him, quoting his boss, why are they only mentioning Sako in this thing when it should be my name? Because they're mentioning all Sako, let us kill the whole thing. And he did it, they did it, not alone. That's the plan. But the people who follow them to destroy it, who are still today in Amazonia, is what is terribly challenging to us. Mbako, who is still there, I've always called his name. And surprisingly, Professor Onyangwe was in Canada with them. A professor with respect. They were buying into this special status. They have not told us the thing until Capo Daniel, with his open mouth, with his bulldozer no longer seal the ship, throw out the whole thing. I can say it. So we can always say thank you, Mr. Capo Daniel. The day is coming. We have said a day will come when people will face justice. Now we know who killed Kemande. Luckily, Capo Daniel is from Boyo. He's in the northern zone. Kemende is, I think, is from Donga Mountain. So we know who killed him. I just wish Capo Daniel, you take a leave to go back home and see your parents who are still living there. Don't stay in Canada with your mother. Go and meet your mother. Go to Bamenda and then see if the ghost of Kemede will not visit you. I don't know what your parents think about you, but your father is still living there somewhere in Molo. So that is it. That is who Capo Daniel is. Again, I give him credit for telling us what others would have been refuting. I take his confessions as genuine. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Mbeseha. For a long time, we've known him to be a true teller, regardless. All right, thank you so much for also affirming that. And this is where we would allow you to go, knowing that we would always have you anytime, any day we call on you. Thank you so much for your professional views in all our discourse tonight.